Hello, Bailey Wickers! Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat if you're here in the Philippines. And magandang umaga kung kayo ay nasa US at Canada. Magandang hapon kung saan man po kayo kung anong sulok ng mundo kayo nandito ngayon. Magandang gabi, magandang umaga, magandang hapon. Welcome po sa ating munting show tonight. Okay, so first of all, kamusta po kayo? You can comment where you're coming from so we will know that you're watching. Also, our topic for tonight, it's very interesting. Kasi po alam niyo, most of us are really guilty of doing this to ourselves. Okay, so let me ask you first. Okay, last year, at this time, ay kasagsagan po ng lockdown. Okay. Hindi natin alam kung anong mangyayari sa atin. We are lost. We don't know our future. We lost our jobs. And parang lost po tayo. Everything's bleak. So, gusto ko po kayong tanungin, last year, what were you doing at this time? Okay, so while you're preparing for your answers or writing them down in the comments, I will share my story also. Last year, I was working full-time in the hospitality industry, and when the pandemic struck, I lost my job. My company closed down because we cannot accommodate clients kasi nga, because of the virus. My husband also lost his job since he's also working in media, more specifically in the sports industry. So both of us, we lost our jobs. And then, buti na lang po, I was already baking on the side. So baking actually sustained us for most of this year, and I'm really thankful that I was given the talent, and of course TBA for the classes that I learned my recipes from and how to bake. So that's my story. So that's why I am asking you. We are actually guilty of this, of overworking. Okay, first of all, ang dami po ngayon na walang trabaho. So every opportunity, every chance that we get, we grab it. So that kikita po tayo. We earn for our family, for our survival. And second, kung newbie tayo, kung kaka-launch lang ng business natin, or we just started baking or selling on the side, we don't want to miss clients. So lahat na po ng orders, tanggap lang ng tanggap here, tanggap there. And we don't really know, we're already overworking ourselves. And I am guilty. I have to be honest. I am guilty of overworking. Kasi I don't want to displease my clients. I want to earn. So, ang tanong po natin dito is, when is it enough? Kailan po ba natin papakinggan yung ating mga katawan na sumisigaw na tama na, pagod na ako, rest naman, time out, di ba? So, yun. So tonight, our topic is about this. Ourselves na pinapagod natin. And then we will have a guest speaker, a very special guest, and he will be talking to us, discussing with us, ano ba yung mga hazards, mga dangers kung ay pinapagod po natin ng sobra yung ating sarili. Okay, so without further ado, I will introduce our guest tonight. He is the Regional Health Programs Manager for the Middle East and North America of the International Committee of the Red Cross. Bigatin. He's also a fellow Ilonggo. Let's all welcome Dr. Erwin Gilergan. Hi, Doc.
Hello, good evening po sa lahat. It's nice to be joining your group. And I hope we pick up something tonight from our small talk.
Oh, we will do. We are very thankful that you can join us tonight because I know you're super busy and pinagbigyan mo kami. So I'm really very thankful for that. But first, Doc, yung title mo, Bigatin. Can you tell us a little background of what you do?
Okay, so I've been working in the medical humanitarian field for the past 16 years. So I work with Doctors Without Borders, I work with Doctors of the World, I work with UN organizations and WHO. And quite recently, I accepted a job to be the programs manager looking after primary health care, post-war surgery, rehabilitation, and transfer of war wounded patients in the Middle East. So I manage Iraq, a couple of countries in the Middle East, Iraq, Yemen, Jordan, um, and a couple more countries all over the world. So I look at the programs basically. I set up certain standards for them to follow, which is based on WHO and the sphere standards, and we make sure that the vulnerable population will be able to access healthcare.
Okay, thank you, Doc, for giving us a brief background. And I am sure you are most qualified to answer our questions. Simple lang naman po yung
Hopefully.
ang aming questions. Okay. So first, Doc, yun naman, I gave you a brief background bakit po namin ginawa yung today, this webinar, is because most of our students who are home bakers or home cooks, they always would message us na pagod na sila. There are certain ailments na nararamdaman nila. And that's why Miss Grace, sorry guys, I didn't introduce myself. My name is Stephanie Cueva, and I am pinch hitting for Miss Grace kasi she can't make it tonight. Miss Grace is the founder of the Bailiwick Academy. So anyway po, yun nga, ang dami po namin natatanggap ng mga messages about this na ang dami nilang nararamdaman, especially after baking, especially our kababayans abroad. Kasi at least here in the Philippines, we have help. But there, they do it mostly themselves. Washing, baking, delivering, packing. So, first of all, Doc, yung kinuwento ko sa'yo, when we were chatting, meron kaming isang bailiwicker student na she was really super busy. She was accepting 80 dozens of ensaymada per week.
Yeah.
That's very good money. That's very good business. But her health suffered. I don't know lang ha, pero I think she broke her back and she's now bedridden. So, of course, you didn't see her. You just heard from my stories. But what is your unofficial diagnosis? Ano sa tingin mo po ang nangyari sa kanya?
It could be anything, no? The most common injury that is being felt or experienced by bakers and chefs include several other things. Among them is low back pain. Based on what you have told me, she has undergone already RFA, or radio frequency ablation, which is actually a very good procedure for low back pain. What usually happens is that yung parang sinusunog, it's also called rhizotomy, by the way. So parang sinusunog yung involved na nerve, and then within 1 to 3 weeks after the procedure, you would have a form of relief from the pain. However, I think this is a compounded problem, because for that to happen and for her to have severe back pain that is causing right now na hindi na siya makatayo, and she's having difficulties moving, I think it's a compounded problem. Probably it's been going on for quite some time. Tapos sabi niya, okay, kaya ko pa to, I can still do this, I can still manage. And then comes a breaking point when it's you cannot do anything anymore, and it cannot be relieved anymore by the usual pain relievers that we buy over the counter. RFA itself is a very good procedure. It's quite a good procedure, and the pain relief can last between 1 to 3 years, and or in some cases, for not so severe cases, it could last for a lifetime. So, however, because probably of the compoundment of the pain itself and the damage that has been done in the nerves, it will probably take some time before na magkaroon siya ng relief. So I think one of the most important things that we have to remember is, sometimes, as you mentioned, we take things for granted when we are quite busy, because we have deadlines, we have
Exactly.
commitments, no, and we sometimes forget ourselves, and I think it's quite important for us to set certain limits, for us to be able to say that, okay, bukas kaya ko pa, or the next day I can still do this.
Mm.
But if you put all things in one go, of course there will be a breaking point for that.
Okay. Yun nga po, sinabi mo na there will be a breaking point. But sometimes, sa kagustuhan po namin kumita, sayang yung ano eh, sayang yung order eh. Kaya ko pa
Oo.
naman. Oh, wala naman ako nararamdaman. Konting ano lang, kirot lang sa kamay, konting kirot sa paa.
Mm-mm.
Actually, just to relate, no, our peak season is really Christmas. It starts up in October and then
Mm.
it peaks December. And after
Mm.
that, medyo magda-die down. So that's why most of us, kami mga home bakers, we really make use of the time. As in, talagang kukunin namin kung sa Ilonggo, pahap-an namon tanan ang orders. But
Mm-mm.
usually we feel the pain pagtapos na. When everything
Mm-mm.
has settled down, that's when we feel the fatigue, the ano, pero
And I
I
think,
think that will be too late na, 'di ba?
yeah,
We have to
I think,
stop.
you will never feel the pain while you're in a rush because your endorphins are working. So it's, when the endorphins go down, when your all the the work has been done, you would definitely feel the pain. But it's not only back pain that you should be worried about. There's several other conditions that home bakers or cooks or chefs, I should say, are also feeling. You also have your wrist pains. Sometimes I don't know
Yes.
if some of your
Yes.
your students also feel like a burning sensation in the lower extremities. Some of them would
Yes.
probably have cysts on the wrist, or they could have numbness, tingling sensation on the wrists. These are also common things that are happening among the bakers. Of course, it's some of them are still, you can still be able to find relief at the soonest possible time, as long as you're able to address it at an earliest time. So I think that's the most important thing. Once you have something, wag na nating hintayin na sabi, okay, maybe I'll go to the doctor next week, or maybe I go after I finish 100 orders or something like that. No, I think we need to set certain limits for ourselves because you only have one body.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. So, we need to set certain limits. Ayan, mga Bailey workers, kailangan, pag na-feel mo na ba, Doc, na, ay, medyo pagod na ako, kailangan we have to stop. Hindi natin kailangan tiisin na, ay,
Yeah.
kailangan tapusin ko bukas na lang ako magpapahinga. Parang
And
ganun ba?
oftentimes, yes, actually that's correct, no? And oftentimes we don't even realize it, that we are already overstressing ourselves. And stress is one of the factors that can cause some body pains, body aches, and even severe headache sometimes. If you're a sufferer of migraine, a little amount of
Oh,
stress can be very bad for you.
oh,
So
okay.
I think one of the most important things that we need to do is to look at our environment. Are we having a very good working environment? Hindi naman siguro kayo pwedeng mag-bake kung may mga batang tumatakbo-takbo dyan, o kaya you're taking care of toddlers, no? So I
Actually,
mean,
Doc, I beg to disagree. Merong mga ganyan. Um, Especially yung sa abroad na wala silang,
oo, oo,
babysitters. So they have to deal with their children. So, yun. May
oo.
mga toddlers na
Yeah,
tumatakbo.
look at your environment. So if you alam ko ang Pinoy are super workers, eh. We try to do all the things all together at the same time. But these are little things that can cause stress to you. So kung if you're taking care of a toddler, or you have somebody to take care of na kailangan talaga lang ng assistance every minute of the day, and then on the side you're doing your baking, you're doing your cooking on the same side, that itself is very stressful. So that's one. So
Yes.
look at your environment, see how you can maximize the environment, and I think it's very important for you to do prioritization. Okay, so alam ko na it's very important for us to earn the money, to get the clients. But if you pace yourself, and I think pacing is quite important, um, probably my if you ask my friends who are psychologists or psychiatrists, they would say that you only bring this to yourself. So find ways for you to be able to pace yourself at your own speed. Okay?
Okay.
Kasi kung if you just take it all together at the same time, that would add up on the stress itself. So
Okay.
another thing probably for you to look at is yung workflow mo, yung environment mo. Do you have the things that are within your reach? Because sometimes we take for granted in a, let's say, we're not that tall. Like myself, I'm not very tall. So if you get your pots and pans on top of the drawer, what do you do? So if you drop something, what do you do? So make sure that you're able to exercise caution as well. So if you bend, are you doing it the right way? If you reach
Oh,
for something, are you using a step stool, or are you asking somebody who's taller to get it for you? So make sure that these things are easy for you to work with. Yeah.
actually, tama ka, Doc. Most of us are really, really, really guilty regarding that. Na sometimes sa sobrang busy na, we fail to organize na our workstations. So most of
Mhm.
the time, nasa stress, hahanapin ng ganito. Tama ka, when you reach down, kailangan, sometimes, ang sakit ng likod kasi, di ba? So siguro we really need to be cautious also because this is our health we are talking about. And
Mhm.
we only have one body. Pag wala na, hindi na nag-function yung body natin, di wala na rin kita. Kasi, di ba? So,
Mhm.
I think that's a very important point that you made. And
Mhm.
Doc, about naman sa yun sa sinasabi mo sa wrist, is it also because of these factors that you were talking about, yung mga electricity, kunwari, nag-run sa wrist, sa mga wrist natin, especially pag nag-ned, ganon, shoulders. And there are even, like me, I experience, parang nilalagnat yung paa when I unconsciously been standing for mga 16 hours na kasi I was baking, I'm decorating. Hindi ko alam
Mhm.
na wala pala akong upo-upo the whole day. And then during the end of the day, parang nilalagnat na yung paa ko. Ano kaya to, Dok? Parang
Uh,
nakakatakot na.
um, I don't know if you've noticed that. I'm going to make an analogy relating to that. Now,
Okay.
I don't know if you noticed that when you fly, especially for long flights, there are exercises that you can do on the plane.
Ah, yeah.
So you can just move your feet around. You can pace. Actually, you can stand up, move around, and then you can do a little bit of stretching. That helps a little bit. The reason why yung feeling mo na nilalagnat is because you've been standing for a long time and the nerves have been placed and the muscles have been placed in a position that it's really difficult for you to move in terms of circulation, in terms of
Okay.
the flexing of the muscles. So if that happens, I think you have to, like, if you have a timer or something, what you can do is you can set your timer to say 45 minutes to 1 hour, and then you move a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. So at least that you're consciously looking at your, especially this is very common. I'm sorry, I'm not going to say to people who are a little bit on the heavy side. No, um, I'm sorry to
Ouch.
say, but this is actually common. But this is actually common among persons who are on the heavy side because of the pressure that is placed on the lower extremities. So what you need to do is to set up a certain time, say 45 minutes to 1 hour, and then you move around. So you either do your stretching, you either move your legs, or you do your pacing. So that helps really, really well in reducing the pain, and at the same time, it helps with the circulation. Yeah.
That's right.
Um,
Oo.
with
So
the
we have to
wrist,
take time. Sige, Doc.
yeah, sorry. With the wrist naman, the most common is carpal tunnel syndrome among bakers,
Yes. Yes,
because of
that's correct.
um, surprisingly, although there are not a lot of studies, it's been shown ang frequency niya is common among women than men. So it's more common in women. So probably since most of our bakers, most of our chefs here or in the class are women, so you probably feel some sort of a numbness or a tingling sensation, particularly from your thumb, kasi nandiyan yung median nerve natin. So the reason for that is because there is a compression or an irritation of the nerve that causes the tingling or the numbness of the numbing sensation. Sorry. So what we can usually do, because this is still treatable, this is still preventable. What you're going to worry
Okay.
later on is the long term effect of we call it carpal tunnel syndrome anyway. So, or the median nerve compression, especially on the wrist. No, so there is a there is a risk factor, as I mentioned. One, you're a woman. Second is that you have a family member who have carpal tunnel syndromes. At saka, you have a job where you use your hand or wrist or your arm over
All
and
the
over
time.
with the same motions. No? So this is common among
Okay.
sewers, knitters,
Oh,
bakers, painters, hairstylists, musicians, ganun. And you have a history of a fracture or a dislocation of your wrist. So um, of course there are other preventable measures that you can do with this. So one is, which I think if you're passionate with your craft, with your baking, I don't think this is going to work because it says lifestyle change. But if you're passionate about it, maybe you can take breaks as often as you want and do a little bit of the activity, less of the activity that causes pain. Stretching is quite a good exercise, or strengthening moves that can make you feel better. I would advise that for those who are having this on a regular basis, to see a physiotherapist to teach you long term exercises. So there are two ways to do
okay.
that. It's the active and the passive motion that the physiotherapist will teach you how to do that. The passive motion would be the application of cold or warm compress, and
Yes,
the active ones would be for you to do the exercises yourselves.
that's true.
Medications may help, but if it's a long term median nerve um, problem, this may not help at all. So this is probably the time that your doctor will give you a steroid, to curb the
Oh,
swelling, to reduce the swelling. And yung last alternative natin would be to do surgery. If you're at
ouch.
home, yes, and it's not very nice. If you're at home, we if you can find a splint, a wrist splint, to immobilize your hand, that would really help. So use a splint or a brace to keep it in a natural position. Keep your hands warm, especially in places where it's overly cold, and then take breaks, as I mentioned already, whenever you can, so that you can rest your affected area, and then put it in a position where it's not overly extending or overly flexing, but only in a natural position most of the time.
Okay,
So these are the
okay.
preventive means that you can have in terms of yeah.
Now we know. Now we know. Now we know what to do. Kasi, of course, before our discussion, personally, I really don't know what to do. Maybe I'll just wait for my wrist to from bad to worse, and then
Mhm.
it might be too late. But it's good now that at least we know mga first aid, how to address
Mhm.
it before it gets worse. But the takeaway that I got from your discussion is that take breaks talaga. Take breaks. We're not robots, tama po, Doc,
Yeah.
na we can work 24/7. So taking breaks would be a good start for our body to rest for a bit. And
Yeah.
now we have a question from Shobe Ko. How about people who work in the bakery but have no choice to overwork kasi for some reason na walang kapalitan, wala silang siguro substitute or yeah, walang shifting or straight duty, or na it seems na no choice na din since peak palagi, or yung mga may kasama kang work is newbie kaya mabagal pa and such. So what can you say about this,
Okay.
Doc?
And I think this is quite common. I think this is happening especially in places where you have a lot of orders, you have a lot of especially it's also if you're teaching newbies. I think this is quite difficult. One of the things that I've been advising people, especially, I'm going to give another example, particularly sa hospital where we work. A lot of us take for granted good food, good rest, and supplements. One of the good supplements that we need to to look out for is a very good supply of B complex vitamins and zinc. So B complex helps your nerves, help your muscles, especially if your nerves are sort of, quote unquote damaged. So if you take it regularly, and I'm also quite guilty of not taking that regularly, um, it really helps you in a way. So there are so many things that are in the market actually that you can get. I don't have a particular brand that I can say, but what I always tell everybody is for as long as your B complex 1612, B complex B1, B6, and B12 is present in your supplements, that would already help you. Zinc is the one that helps you your body um, um, heal quite faster if there are injuries. So going back to your question, paano naman yung ganun? I think it's quite difficult for me to say because at the end of the day, what you need to do is to again pace yourself. Set up priorities. Um, which one is more important at this point in time? Okay, because once you break, it's going to be very difficult. Not only that, it's going to lose you're going to lose the opportunity for you know uh, uh, earning money, but you also would have the medical costs, particularly in the Philippines, is quite is
That's
quite high,
right.
especially during these
That's right.
COVID times. And I
Mhm.
could imagine for those you know people who are working abroad, um, especially if you don't have insurance, it's going to be quite difficult as well. So set up your priorities, pace yourself, see what you can do. Okay, and I think it's quite important for you to while you're teaching, it's quite important as well to tell your staff, to tell your colleagues that okay, this is what we can do. I know that we're going to get some money in this, we're going to earn more money in this,
Mhm.
but this is our capacity at this point.
That's
Um,
true.
or you can get more people if you have already the income that would sustain your business. You can get somebody to help you out, or make it a family endeavor. If you
That's
can't get
true.
somebody, okay, ask your mom, ask your sister, ask your brother, can you guys
Yes.
help me? My business is booming. Can you all please support me at this point in time? Because it seems like I'm having orders that I cannot handle anymore. So it's a way to involve your family as well, and for them to understand that you're doing everything for them, you're doing everything for your family, but they also need to be involved at a certain point, and see how you earn your keep, how you earn your money on the day-to-day basis.
That's right, Doc. It's either mamili na lang. Um, you either work yourself to death or talagang it'll be the death of you. So
Oh,
tama din yon that you need to sign up the help of your family members, or you can actually invest in better equipment so that it will be easier for
yes.
you. 'Di
Mhm.
ba? May kasabihan nga, you have to earn more. I'm sorry, you have to spend more to earn more. So yon. So sometimes kasi tayo mga Pilipino, we're really kuripot. So basta basta hindi tayo gagastos, mapagod man okay lang. Pero tama yung doc, yung advice mo na talagang when the body says pahinga na, magpahinga na.
Mm-mm.
Kasi mahirap na nga magkasakit. Sabi mo nga na COVID, COVID pa, may COVID pa ngayon. So it's really
Mhm.
hard na ma-hospital ka. Baka, you'll never get in a hospital, you'll never get the care that you need, the
Mhm.
medical care that you need. Kasi because of your own doing, I mean, you can actually rest naman, pero ayaw mo. It's your choice. So it's
Mhm.
either your health or it'll be the death of you. So yun lang
And
po. Yun lang po
sometimes,
kasimple.
yeah, and sometimes we take for granted ourselves eh. Kasi sabi natin, okay, I'm young, I'm capable, I'm strong.
Yes, exactly.
Sometimes
Feeling
we
mo
take that for
invincible ka.
granted.
Yes.
Oh, oh, oh. And I had that same attitude before, that same behavior before. So I was managing 9 countries before, and I said,
Wow.
okay, kaya ko to, I can do this. That I'm losing sleep already, that I'm having a lot somatic disorders na ang dami ko nang nafe-feel na ang sakit dito, ang sakit doon. And then I realized that, okay, I'm actually doing so much more than I can handle. And then I just had to stop, and it's quite important to set your limitations. It's important for you to set your priorities. So this is what I can do. This is how I will do it. Of course, if your clients really value you and if they really like you, they will always come back. I hope
Exactly.
so. I hope so. I know that it's a
Tama.
competitive market.
No, tama ka, Doc, because the quality of your work will actually speak for your
Yeah.
I mean, the quality of your products will actually speak lots
Mm.
about you. Even if you're expensive, they will still come back.
Oo.
And ito, may comment tayo. What I thought, sorry. I'm a self-proclaimed workaholic and find it difficult to delegate. Tama to, Doc. We're also guilty of this. Not just financially because cost daw yon, but when I got freelancers, it was a game changer. So what she thought would be extra gastos turned out to be more opportunities. I am able to think better and perform my best and was able to do other income generating endeavors and nawala mga sakit-sakit sa katawan and nabawasan ang kasungitan ko. That's true, Doc, di ba? Pag
Very good.
masyado na tayong our plate is super full na, sometimes ang sungit na natin eh. And we can't
Mm-mm.
really concentrate kasi masyado ng multitasking. And I think our
Mm.
brain can only take so much, tama ba? So
Yes,
focus is
that's actually
gone.
true. Mm. I think that was a very good move from her
From
part,
Angel,
to,
yes.
yeah, from Angel. I think that was a very good move. I think since it's quite difficult sometimes to trust people,
Exactly,
especially
yes.
if you just know them. You don't know the quality of their work, you don't know their
Mm,
work ethics, you don't know what their behavior would be. But I think if you want to do that, if you're going to take that step, it's important for you to set up monitoring systems as well. It's There are different types of managing people. So some people do micromanagement, some people do macro management, some people do yung super busisi talaga, like to the point na, okay, blah, 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 I have to do this. But you can, if you set up certain monitoring systems for yourself and for the people that you work with or people working for you, I think your life would be easier. Say, for
exactly.
example, okay, what is the quality of the dough that you want? Okay, this is how I want to do it. This is how you should do it. Come and check a few hours later and say, okay, this is how we're going to do it. Or in terms of financial uh, activities that you wanted to do, set up certain easy Excel documents that you can monitor and that you can check. And then later on, you will notice that, okay, once I do it, no, you don't only reduce the stress in your life, but you're also teaching people how to be self-reliant and how to be as talented as you are. So it's a transferred talent that you're doing. So you're transferring your skills, and people will appreciate you more for that if you're going to do certain systems that would help you and your business on a day-to-day basis. Again, yeah.
Exactly, Doc. Pero sometimes, yung problem kasi dyan, nahirapan tayo how to teach, how to transfer the
Mm-mm.
skill and the talent, di ba? But we have to work on
Mm,
it because we need it. Kailangan
mm,
talaga natin, to delegate.
mm,
It's important kasi kaysa naman wala kang magagawa and the work is
mm.
haphazard kasi, di ba? You're doing it by yourself. And another question, how about po the mental health with people who tend to overwork or workaholic? How can we help ourselves or even help others if they think na negatively na?
Okay. Um, I'm I'm going to be blunt about this. I think as Filipinos or as Asians in general, I should say, we're not so keen into mental health, and I think it's a struggle that most people undergo. Uh, pag sinabi mo na, oh, I'm so stressed. Oh, iinom mo lang yan, or mag-mall ka, or
Yeah,
kumain
yeah.
ka. We really never put a lot of efforts into understanding what mental health is all about, and I think it's
Mm.
a shame. um we have a very strong family values, we have a very strong um religious background as Filipinos, as as Christians in the Philippines. So most of the time, At saka, sorry, I'm going back again. At saka yung notion that when you say that somebody is stressed or somebody's depressed or somebody's overworked, we tend to to brush it aside, because it's not in the mentality of most Filipinos or a lot of Filipinos that we should take this seriously. Yeah. In a lot of the work that I've done, I've been stressing quite a lot on mental health. Actually,
Mhm.
yung master's ko was on mental health.
Okay,
Um,
great.
the master's, my thesis was on mental health, and I'm really, really an advocate of mental health. So it's quite difficult sometimes, but I think one of the most important thing is, if you feel na kailangan mo ng outlet, you know,
Mhm.
find somebody to talk to, find somebody that you trust, find somebody that who will care for whatever you say. It's quite important for you to be able to express yourself. Sometimes talking really, really helps. So if you feel like you're overstressed because of the work, or you're feeling already to a break point, find what makes you happy. Aside from the one that's causing you stress. I know that if you're baking, it's something that makes you happy, but find some other thing. Find what makes you happy. If in an environment that you're working in, you like to listen to music, put on your music. What I learned over the past few years is that if I don't separate myself from my profession to my home, and if I don't know how to separate myself from that, I will be stressed tomorrow, I will be stressed the next day, I will be stressed forever. What I usually do is that once I set myself some time, I'm giving myself as an example because I work in a very stressful environment. So it's mostly war torn area. So what I do is I set like from 5 o'clock onwards, I will not do anything. So it's either I would sit down, I would watch Netflix, or I would paint. So that's what I usually do. And then when it's
Let
time to
me
work,
interrupt, Doc. Let me interrupt sandali, Doc. Just to let you know, guys, Doc Erwin is a very good painter.
thank you.
Yung mga, hindi ko lang na-picturean yung mga paintings mo, but anyway, sige po. I'll
Yeah.
do that some other time. Sige po, let's
No, no
continue.
worries. Thank you. No, it's for me. It's a way to separate myself from my work. Other people have different ways of coping with stress. So find what you feel can make you happy. Aside from what your passion is all about, which is baking in this case, or cooking in this case. Find something that, if just walking around the mall, not buying anything, just doing something there outside of your work, that's already something that you can do. Or talk to your friend, or find something that is different from what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. That would help you out.
So monotony din, Doc, like every day magbe-bake ka. It, it,
Oo.
it it also affects your mental health. So it's important to have hobbies and
Mm.
recreation. Yun. Pero Doc, curious ako, kasi Filipinos, sabi mo nga kanina, we're not so big on mental health. But how about the other nationalities? Mas ano ba sila? Mas conscious sila sa mental health nila kaysa sa atin?
Westerners are more conscious with mental health, particularly Americans, particularly um, the Brits and the Europeans. But it's still a struggle for a lot of people in Asia to accept mental health as a holistic approach to health in general. It's still a struggle for us, particularly in areas where you have strong family ties, because they always rely on their family
Mhm.
to support them, to help them out. Sometimes it's good if your family is aware that you are undergoing certain issues in your life. But if yung family mo is also a very busy family, that nobody is going to listen to you, nobody is going to talk to you about what issues you're undergoing, it sort of becomes a very big issue for you, because my problem ka na nga, stress ka na nga, tapos yung feeling mo, yung family mo is not listening to you. That adds up to a lot of things. So I think it's still a struggle for us Asians in general, and for a lot of countries in the Middle East, to accept mental health. But what I've seen so far is that, particularly for those who are underwent who are in the who have escaped war or have survived war, mental health has been really, really um, a very big factor in helping them move on and continue with their lives.
Wow. Your job your job is like something from the movies lang that we see, that we watch, parang gano'n. And when I see your posts sa Facebook, parang sabi ko, "Grabe 'to si Doc." As in, sobrang brave. Ang dami mong adventures that we can only, we can only dream about it, or we'll never experience it in our lifetime. Anyway, Doc, you have a message here. Doc, that has been my issue. I have no hobby or interest. Tapos, that is far from my work. I like studying to relax. And I am into consulting and coaching. I have a close friend I talk to often, but that's it. So, mga ganitong klaseng tao, Doc. Ito si Angel. Parang workaholic siya. Tapos, parang she doesn't have hobbies na what you can say as recreation. Ang form of relaxation daw niya, nagsa-study siya to, or nagre-research. So, what can you say about this?
If that makes you happy, that's one of the hobbies that you can go into. And I'm very glad that you're into coaching as well. Um, I don't have it at the top of my um, ngayon, pero there are organizations that would really want you to be a coach. Um, I don't. Actually, I've been involved with one when I was working in Brazil a couple of years ago. That they were pushing somebody to do coaching for me, as a life coach for me. Um, well, it didn't work because that person didn't know how to speak English, and my Brazilian, my Portuguese was very bad. But I think this is one way as well for you to while your time. If you can find organizations that would help out, that would accept you as part of the life coach, as part of to teach other people how to do things, especially if you have a specific skill, a specific talent. I think that would be very good. One, you can find meaning in interest that you do. Two is that you separate yourself from your other passion. So I think that's a good way. Yeah, I'm glad to know that you're doing that, Angel.
Ayan, Angel. So, may advice si Doc sa'yo. Look for an organization that, that can help you with your talents, or you can offer your help also to that organization. So, yun, Doc, you've actually, we've discussed na about everything that has, that we're supposed to discuss, like yung what to do when we feel something, when we're super tired, we just need to rest, and then take vitamins, do breaks, stretching, anything else that you want to add for our overworking and super hardworking home bakers and home cooks?
Probably another thing that I've seen from Jacqueline, but before I answer Jacqueline,
Sige, yeah, you have
um,
a question.
I think one of the things that you need that you need to take into consideration is footwear as well. It's quite important because there is such thing as what we call as a chef's foot, which is like an arthritis of the big toe. This is because the cartilage had been thinning due to long periods of standing, and there's fasciitis as well, or inflammation of the plantar fascia, and it causes excessive heel pain. So it's very severe. So I think one of the most important things that people need to take into consideration is that, are you wearing the right shoes? Are you wearing the right footwear for you to be able to move around and
Exactly.
at the same time support your weight while you're standing up? So I think that's quite important to consider. Um, I forgot the question that Jacqueline has. She's prone to.
Okay, the question of how can I overcome failure and disappointments? Kasi beginner lang daw siya. Okay, beginner. So siguro Doc, ang dami niyang, syempre beginner ka, your work is not as far as the ones who have been in the field for a long time already. So siguro she compares herself to those to people better than her, or may mga comments yung clients niya. So baka she's in a point na she wants to give up. Yun, so how does she overcome the failure and disappointments?
I assume that you're quite young, Jacqueline. Um, because failure is part of youth, and mistakes are part of youth, of being young. Kahit na nga matanda tayo, we still make mistakes. But I think these are things that would, it's altruistic as it may sound. It's quite idealistic as it may sound. But these are things that would teach you. These are life lessons that would teach you. Kung saan ka failure, for example, sa isang bagay, then you learn through this. It's easy for me to say sometimes. People would say, okay, okay na yan, failure yan, then you learn from it, blah, 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 blah. But I know people have different ways of moving on. People have different ways of accepting things. And I think this is all dependent on you. If you're feeling disappointed most of the time, and if you give up, there's things that you will never be able to finish. You have to prove to yourself kung anong makakaya mo with your limitations, with your pace, with your strength. Okay? Um, it's always very difficult to find your niche in life. It's always very difficult to say that, okay, this is where I belong, this is what I wanted to do. But this is the beauty of being young. This is the beauty of being human. No? Because when we make mistakes, there are always steps that we can do. There will always be things that we can do next. Okay? So mahirap para sa akin na sabihin na, come on, you can do this or you can find other ways. Because at the end of the day, this all depends on you. How you would manage your disappointments, how you would manage your frustrations and your failures. Okay? We will always, everybody deserves second, third, fourth, fifth chances. And for as long as we learn from our mistakes, for as long as alam natin na, okay, this is what I'm not going to do next, this is what I'm going to do, I think that's the most important part. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes. Okay, we should learn from that. That's the most important thing.
Very good
I hope I
advice,
answered
Doc.
your question.
Life coach ka na. Life coach ka na. Doc, marami dito humihingi ng advice. How about for people who keeps on doing their best? They're giving their 100% in their craft, but ended up a failure. Para, ay, mga words of
Define.
wisdom ni Doc.
It's really difficult for me to define what a failure is because, like, in all of my life, I've been struggling as well. Maybe I can share, how I reached my current position. Um, before becoming the first Filipino, first Asian director for Medicine Sans Frontiers, Doctors Without Borders, um, I had to undergo a lot of challenges as well. I had to undergo a lot of failures. So I was the first medical director for Doctors Without Borders. I was based in Amsterdam, and then I went to Brazil for that. For me to be able to find the my current position, I first had to understand, what do I want? Where do I see myself a few years from now? I always give myself 100%, 120%, 1,000% in all the things that I do. But of course, hindi naman lahat would be successful, and it costs money, it costs energy, it costs your precious time. But then, like I said previously, that whatever failure that I have, I take it as a learning experience. So that the next time I do something, I know that, okay, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to do a different strategy on this. So over the years, I've learned to develop that um, that innate ability to let go of the bad experience, learn from that, and then sometimes it's quite important, especially if you're just starting. If you're just starting, it's quite important to sell yourself. For people to know what you're worth, for people to know what you can do, what your abilities are. So it's important to hindi naman sabihin na nagbubuhat ka na ng sarili mong bangko, or you're trying to be somebody who's braggart, or bragging whatever you do, nagbiyayabang ka na. But at certain point na pwede mo
Yeah.
sabihin na, okay, actually this is what I can do. I can tell my friends that ito kaya kong gawin. I can tell my family that this is my capacity, this is what I can do. So you're also setting yourself people who sees that would see a certain level of confidence in you as well. The first thing is have faith in yourself, have confidence in your capacities, in your abilities, and only then can you realize na, okay, kaya ko pala. So even if I give 70%, people will always say that, okay, this person is quite good. I will put my trust in him or her. Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Totoo yan, Doc. I believe in that. And with this short discussion that we have, parang ang dami ko nang natutunan. First of all, take breaks. Take breaks talaga is important. Take vitamins. When your body tells you that it's pagod, you should rest. And
Mhm.
ang dami pa about mental health, about failures. Naku, Doc, sinakop mo na lahat. Medical and psychological. So,
I was
yes, and I
expecting that they will be asking me
know you're
medical
super busy.
questions actually.
Exactly. Kaya nga I was preparing din. Ano bang pwede kong i-support kay Doc na medical? Yun pala. But anyway, basta para sa mga bailiwickers, we will do that. We will answer your questions. So Doc,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, but I know you're super busy. You have a flight to catch tomorrow. Tomorrow na ba yung alis mo for the Middle East?
Yes. Mhm.
And we're
Um,
flattered that you, yes.
if there's anything as well that you can invite me next time. If you're
Yay!
still interested, I will find time for that. One of the
Talaga.
things that we've really been discussing about is actually we're having a debate in the coming days on vaccination, COVID vaccination. So um,
Ayan.
it's quite a very tense topic for all of us because in some places, particularly in the Middle East, they're they don't believe in the existence of COVID. So a lot of them don't believe in vaccination as well. So it's going to be a big debate. But next time if anybody wants to, we can talk about anything. I'll find time for all of you.
Yay! Thank you, Doc, for your time and for promise mo yan, ang daming witness. So wala kang
Yes, no
kawalan.
worries,
But
no
anyway,
worries.
Doc, ito, personally, I'm really interested in that vaccination. I know it's out of topic na, but nawala si Doc. Anyway, we'll try to get him back. Yeah, we'll try to get him back. But if not, okay. So anyway, um, okay, so he's gone. Maybe his internet connection is not so good. So anyway, mga kaibigan, mga bailiwickers, I think we have answered your questions. I'm confident that we did. And Doc Irwin is gracious enough to lend his time for us to answer our questions and give some advice to us. So I hope may napulot po tayong lahat. And for more questions, you can just comment. Wait lang po. May comment siya. Okay. Nag-brown out daw. So, wala na si Doc. We can't have him back. But thank you everyone for joining us tonight. I hope we really did answer your questions. Ang dami ko pong natutunan. So first of all, kayo dyan na busy lagi, especially pag Christmas tayo. Oh, Doc is back. So ayun. So we can talk to him pa. Yes, Doc. Yan, yay, you're back.
Yeah.
Nag-brown
Sorry, there was
out.
a power cut, a very brief power cut. Now it's back. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so Doc, I'll just take up a little more of your time na lang. Because I know this is out of topic, pero this has been a very hot topic also about the topic of vaccination. Kasi ang dami din, in our household, may nagre-resist. Personally, I would like all of us to be vaccinated because I believe
Mhm.
the power of the vaccine. Pero ano po yung masasabi mo sa mga doesn't believe in the vaccine na ano lang daw yun, mamamatay sila? Because from what I experience, yung mga sinasabi, mga old wives' tales, lalo na sa mga probinsya, sinasabi, ay, mamamatay ka lang yan, ganyan-ganyan. So, medyo briefly siguro, Doc, we can discuss about this.
Yes. Well, it's a protection, and I think it's quite important for everybody to be vaccinated. First, we need to be vaccinated for us to be able to develop a form of herd immunity. So, herd immunity is quite important for us to be able to kick whatever disease there is. So, for example, a couple of years ago, when there was no, so many years ago when there was the smallpox,
Mm-hmm.
the only way for us to be able to take out smallpox was because of the vaccination that we have done. So, totally eradicated na ang smallpox. Some years ago, when polio vaccine was being introduced worldwide, this also reduced the number of cases, and at the same time, there was a development of herd immunity until a variant strain existed some years ago, particularly in Afghanistan, Pakistan, and some areas of Africa. So ngayon we have this again. So that's why we're pushing for vaccination against polio. It's the same with measles. The reason why we were protected for over a period of time is because of the herd immunity that we got from the vaccination itself. So this takes over time. No, it takes several years for it to develop, and we need to have the personal and community protection for us to develop this form of herd immunity. So um, that's why ngayon, because of the anti-vaxxers, marami na ring measles cases, particularly here sa Philippines. Kasi ang daming misconceptions, ang daming misinformation relating to the vaccine itself. Now with the COVID, remember that there's so many strains that are coming out. Meron pang variants.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have the Indian variant, which is quite scary na rin kasi imagine they're having 400 to 700
Yes.
cases a day.
Yes.
So although the vaccine is not a full answer to stopping the disease, it can prevent you from having a full blown case of COVID, particularly
Wow.
the side effects and the complications relating to the disease. Okay, one, it's the most cost effective preventive way of contracting the disease. Why cost effective? Because, for example, if the government provides us with a vaccine, the cost is much cheaper compared to you being hospitalized with the disease. Okay. So, kung for example, let's say it's 1,000 for the cost of a vaccine, for a single shot of a vaccine, compare that to 100,000 only. Yeah. So, I know
Mm-hmm.
of a friend who spent almost 3 million
Wow.
um, um, because of COVID.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so, imagine that, you know, it's the most cost effective, and at the same time, um, it provides you with the immunity to kick off the disease. So
Okay.
if ever na mag-contract ka naman, you already have the antibodies to fight it off. So if ever that you get COVID, because you know that there's so many strains, so with the
Mm-hmm.
vaccine, although it's not a full total protection, unlike the other vaccines that we have, it will give you a certain level of immunity to fight COVID itself. Okay, so hindi siya magiging mas malala. I would really go push for it. Some people are saying that okay, I should get the better vaccine or I should wait for the
Yeah,
better
that's my
vaccine.
next question. Yeah, that's my next question. Mag-aantay ba kami sa better
No,
vaccine?
I think what you can do. Of course, there are a lot of vaccines that are quite good with compared to what we have now. Okay, no, let's be blunt about this. Let's be factual about this. But what is available right now is the one that is most effective because it's there. Okay, so if you have Sinovac, go for Sinovac. If you have AstraZeneca, go for AstraZeneca. There are still vaccines that are coming out that are much better in responding to the variants. For example, Novavax is coming. It's an American company that is based in India.
Okay.
So it's more responsive to the, I think, South African variant and the Indian variant plus the Brazilian
Mm.
variant. So, but it's not going to come out soon because it's still in phase 4. And by that
Okay.
time na nalalabas yan, mas tataas pa yung kaso natin. So what we have now, let's make use of it. Let's go for it. There are people who are saying that, ay nako, hindi ako pwede, may comorbidity ako, or may allergies ako, or may
Oo
ganyan
nga,
ako.
Doc. Oo nga.
Unless that you have a very specific type of allergen of allergy on specific type of proteins, then hindi ka magpapabakuna. So I have a friend who has an allergy on a specific type of proteins, so hindi siya nagbakuna. But it's actually recommended for you to be able to get the vaccine despite your comorbidities. So that's why we have old people, and I think here in the Philippines, what they did is they stratified the number of people who are supposed to do receive the vaccine. So you have your A1, A2, A3, and
Yeah.
the rest, no? So if you get the chance, please go for it. It really helps. Just
My
last thing.
concern, sige
Yeah,
po, sige
just
po.
last thing. Sorry. Once you get the vaccine, you still need to use your mask. I'm sorry, but that is a must. Wearing your mask is a must because yung protection natin with the vaccine is a temporary protection. Just another thing, by the way, on the first dose, your antibodies would rise up to 500 times than the normal.
Wow. Ayan
With
ah.
the first dose, with the first dose. So with the second dose, it could go as high as some people have 1,800 times more than the antibodies that is required to fight off COVID. So it's quite
Oh.
important for you to do vaccination.
Okay. So yan, kasi may nagsabi din dito, Doc, takot ako magpa-vaccine. Pero I think the advantages outweighs the fear or the
Mhm,
disadvantages. Kasi 'di ba,
mhm,
sabi mga doc, ilang times how many percent ang iakyat ng immune system mo when you have a
mhm.
vaccine.
Yeah.
Pero po, like when for example, I got the lesser, the lesser efficacy vaccine, tama po ba yung term? Tapos,
Mhm.
and then, the vaccine that are better, dumating na po. Can I get vaccinated again or hindi na?
No, you cannot mix that.
Okay.
It's not advisable to mix. Oo.
So is it also
Um,
true that, like for example, especially, okay, mention na natin, the Sinovac vaccine, hindi daw to accepted when you travel to other countries, it won't be accepted na yung vaccine na yon. Like, ito yung mga fear din ng mga ibang kilala ko, they don't want to get the Sinovac because they can't travel na to Europe or to the US, ganun.
no, I don't think that's true. What is being pushed right now is to have a vaccine passport. So there are
Oh,
already several countries that it doesn't matter kung ano what vaccine that you have received or is going to receive. What is quite important is that you've been vaccinated, and I think it's quite important as well for you to receive 2 doses. Yun yung
okay.
nakalagay sa vaccine passport, so you can still travel anywhere. I think Thailand is going to start in July, and I think Philippines is going to start sometime around July, August as well. But Thailand is already doing that. Um, I don't think the US has started with the vaccine passport, but there are certain countries in Europe that are requiring sort of a certificate that you've been vaccinated, at least 2 doses. You have completed 2 doses. I mean,
Okay.
so like Switzerland, for example, is asking for vaccine certificate, not a vaccine passport, but a vaccine certificate. Um, Greece is open for tourism, so they're also asking for a vaccine certificate. But over time, I think it's quite important for you to receive 2 doses, regardless of which vaccine this is, as long as you can get your vaccine passport. And you can do this online now. So this is what Thailand is doing now with the vaccine passport. You can register online. It doesn't matter which type of vaccine.
It's nice to hear that it gets easier na, Doc, no? Getting
Oo.
vaccinated. So, ito may question. How about yung nagka-COVID na? Gumaling na siya, do they still need to get the vaccine?
I would really advise this person to check for the IgM, IgG level. So,
Okay.
I think it's quite important to check your antibodies level because we have the live attenuated vaccine and we have a frozen type. Now, so it depends on the type of vaccine that you will receive. The live attenuated can mimic COVID itself, or
Okay.
it can um, wake up a dormant virus. So kung tulog yung virus sa katawan mo, it can wake up because it's live attenuated. But there are
Oh.
those that are frozen. So it depends on the type of vaccine that you will receive. Um, I would really advise for you to check your IgG and IgM level. If your IgG and IgM level, these are antibodies, are quite high, don't go for the vaccine because it
Oh.
can. it can reactivate an
Okay.
existing dormant COVID. I've known some cases who are like this. I've known some people who are like this, and it's much more worse than the first COVID that they have. So just inform them. I've had COVID before. I would like to know first, before I receive the vaccine, what my level of antibodies are or
Okay.
is. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, nice to know. Another information na alam na natin. And then there's another question. Last na to, Doc. Last na, promise. Okay, so after 6 months daw, magpapa-vaccine ba agad? Until when is the vaccine valid or, effective?
No, there are no studies that says it is effective for only a short period of time. Kasi yung basis natin is the level of antibodies that you produce after your vaccination. So it doesn't say na, okay, you have to wait for 6 months, you have to wait for 1 year, you have to wait for 2 months. So it's not a specific. Remember that COVID is a new virus. So there's still a lot of studies that are undergoing to learn more about the virus, how it acts, how it mutates, yung ganyan. So it's not like hepatitis virus, for example, that
Mhm.
we've known for so long. You
Yes,
know, so once you have been vaccinated, kailangan mo ng booster after a certain period of time. It's
exactly.
or once you get the disease, for example, hepatitis A, you don't need to be vaccinated, for example. You know, so we're still trying to learn more about the virus. It's still a very early phase for us to say that okay, after 6 months or after 1 year, we need to have a booster dose or we need to re-inject ourselves again with vaccines. So wala pang advisory, wala pang further studies related to that. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you, Doc, for answering all our questions about vaccination. I'm sure yung mga kasama natin, mga bailiwicker, I'm sure they're somehow enlightened about getting vaccinated.
My
Kasi
pleasure.
we really need this. And of course,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Doc, for your time. Sa summarize ko lang yung pinag-usapan po natin. If don't overwork yourself because health is wealth. You only have one body. So if your body bumigay na, you can, I mean, all the earnings that will, the potential earnings, mawawala din. So it's
Mhm.
best to take breaks, take supplements, stretch, have a hobby to avoid depression or something to do with your mental health. And of course, yung vaccine natin, the most important thing, because this is very relevant nowadays, we need to protect ourselves and we need to reach the herd immunity, sabi nga ni Doc Irwin. Okay,
Mhm.
so Doc, thank you very much for your time.
My
Naku,
pleasure.
ang tagal natin nag-usap. So, promise ko sa'yo, sa brief lang to, pero thank you so much for your time and thank you for offering that we can, invite you again
No
next time.
worries. No
Okay.
worries. Thank
So,
you and good luck to everybody. Be safe.
thank you, Doc. Stay safe
Bye bye.
yourself. And everyone, stay safe till our next video.